Hi guys, Crystal here from Homemaking on the Homestead, and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to give you part 2 of Frugal Homemaking Tips. I did part 1 in collaboration with She Builds Her Home, and you can see my part 1 video up here if you have not already seen it, or I'll link it in the description box as well. But my video ended up being so long that I really felt like I needed to cut it into 2 parts. And so today you get part 2. So I hope you find something helpful and useful on these frugal homemaking tips to help save you some money. All right, let's get on with those tips. Now, this is a tip, especially with these high gas prices, that may be mostly relevant if you live rurally, but even if you live in town, it can't hurt. It could save you a little bit of money, and maybe you already even do this, is to combine trips when you go out into town. I know when I lived in the city, I was so close to the grocery store or so close to the post office, it was like no big deal. Oh, I'm going to go run and, grab a gallon of milk, or I'm going to run to the post office and mail a couple letters. So when I moved out to the country, we are 45 minutes from town, depending on where we're going, and it's you just don't hop in the car to go get a gallon of milk. So usually I would plan 1 trip a week, and during that time I would get all my grocery shopping done. I would do anything at the post office. I would run any other errands. Over the years, my husband and I started doing it together, which is probably why we still grocery shop together, is because we combine trips. If he needs to go to the hardware store and I need to go to the fabric store, or whatever we're doing, we set aside a day and we run all our errands on that day. Now that he's retired, it seems like we do it about once every 10 to 12 days or something like that. But that definitely saves a lot on gas. Several years ago, I decided to give my pantry a little bit of a cleanup and an organization, and it's so tempting to just head to the dollar store and buy things, or head to Walmart and buy things, but it's always interesting that the first thing now that I do is I always look around and see, what do I have that I could reuse and repurpose. In this case, I had decided already in my mind I was going to do this, and I started saving these containers. My husband would always take this snack mix to work with him, and it was a pretty nice size plastic container, very sturdy, and so I started saving those, washing them, setting them aside. He would also buy, he likes mixed nuts, we both do, to snack on, and so I started saving those containers. And I ended up using those containers and canning jars. I had a couple baskets that I had previously bought at Walmart, I believe. And I ended up being able to redo my laundry room for basically nothing, because I repurposed and reused what I already have. And of course, the same thing can go for any other type of items. Clothing, do you have things that need to be, need to move on because of rips or tears? Can you use any of the fabric for anything? Can you repurpose it for something else? Remember those napkins? You have some nice cotton fabric. You might be able to, out of the back of a shirt or a blouse or something, grab a square, and now you've got a brand new napkin that didn't cost you anything. Living out in the country, one thing that we always end up having a problem with during the summer is yellow jackets. And they can just be so bad some years. And we would always buy these yellow jacket traps. We bought lots and lots of them because we would hang them up, in 2 or 3 places around the house, just to try to be able to walk in and out of the house some years without yellow jackets all over the place. And they do a good job, but they also cost a good deal. We used to be able to get them for like $4 to $5 a piece, and the last time I looked, they were about $7 or $8 a piece. And who knows what they're going to be this year, or even if they're going to be available with the way things go. So I came up with my own yellow jacket trap, and it would get any kind of wasp or bee that would be attracted to this. It was really simple. It cost me nothing more than a can of cat food. Seriously. So for, what are they, about $1 maybe to buy a can of cat food. And let me tell you, 1 can of cat food will do several traps and last for a long time. So basically, you get a pan. I had a lot of extra, glass dishes, which is why that's what you see in the pictures of these glass 9x13 pans, but you could use aluminum pans, you could use any kind of container you want. I found a couple pieces of scrap plywood that my husband had in a pile, and I put water in the pan, about 3/4 of the way full. I threw in a few drops of Dawn dish soap because that breaks the surface tension of the water. And then I took my cat food and I spread it on one side of those pieces of scrap lumber. I turned them upside down and put them on the top of the dish. So when I set it outside, I put it on my deck. I had a spot over by my husband's shop I put them on. If we had company, I would put a little table out and set them out. And the yellow jackets are attracted to the meat in the cat food. They have to go underneath that board in order to get the meat. Once they try to grab the meat, then they fall off of the board and fall into the water. And because of the dish soap in the water, because it breaks the surface tension, they just fall in there and they drown. Super easy. Saved me so much money. And I have done that for year after year after year. Whenever we have some years that are better than others, but whenever we have a year that's really bad with yellow jackets, I always make my traps. After a few, a week or maybe more, sometimes the cat food will start to kind of lose its potency and maybe dry out a little bit. I just scrape it off into the garbage, redo it, more cat food, put it back on, and put it back outside. I have to refill the water occasionally because evaporation eventually it kind of gets too low. But in any case, there you go. A super cheap, super frugal wasp trap that you can use this summer. Now, this idea doesn't work for everybody, but if you have, if your husband's really mechanical and handy this way, then maybe this would be a tip to save you money. But my husband was an aircraft mechanic by trade, so he understood engines and cars and as well as airplanes. And so he always did all of our own car repairs. And that saved us so much money over the years, especially when you have a lot of children and they become teenagers and they have cars. That can really add up. So that was one way that we saved a whole lot of money during those years, is my husband did all his own car repairs and changed all his own oil. And of course, some people feel like oil changes are not that expensive, but I'm a little bit saved here and a little bit saved there. It all adds up, right? That's the whole point. And one that probably isn't anything new, but it was saving money on TV. When I was a kid growing up, you had 4 channels and that was TV. That was all you had. Today, you've got all these TV options, cable and satellite. Living here where I do, we do not get any television reception. I could put an antenna, hundreds of feet high, and I still wouldn't get any television reception from any local stations. So at one point, we got satellite, and we had that for quite a while, but it got more and more expensive as time went on. Also, my husband and I are not big, huge TV watchers, so it seemed like we were paying a lot of money for really nothing. I ended up buying Roku, which is a little box or thing that you just plug into your TV. Roku has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stations on it that are all free. And if you have, of course, Hulu or Netflix or any of those types of subscriptions, TV subscriptions, you could always, get them that way too. But we have found lots and lots of free TV that does the job for us. I'm even able to get a couple different local TV stations so I can keep up on my local news and other news stations, so that is very helpful. And we like a lot of the old television programming better than the programming of today, so it's kind of fun to find old TV shows that you remember and you enjoyed years ago and just watch those when we want a little TV entertainment. And movies is the same way. You can find a lot of movies for free through Roku. So I don't think that's anything terribly new, but if you've never heard of it, it's one way to be able to possibly ditch your cable or a satellite and get some free TV. Okay, the last one is just a super simple one. If you're a person that likes room fresheners, and they are, of course, they have their expense and chemicals and everything. And it's just one more item to have to buy. That maybe if you could do something else that was almost free, that maybe it would be a savings to you. So one of the things that I do is I will get a small canning jar, and I will put baking soda in the canning jar and a few drops of essential oil, whatever is my thing for that. Usually I like orange or lemon or something like that. And you put a piece of fabric over the top, put a screw top cap on it, like you would use for canning, and shake that up, and it will make your room smell very nice. And so in any time that you want to add that room to, give it a little scent, then just shake it up. Very simple. And it's virtually, there's a little expense there, but not much. And you could have one in any room that you want. Okay, guys, those are my frugal homemaking tips, and I really hope that you found something here that you can use, or something new, or something that will be helpful to you. And if you did, let me know in the comments below. Also, what are your homemaking tips? I would love to hear from you. What are your homemaking frugal tips? What are some of the things that you're doing right now, or you've done in the past, to save money? I would love to know that. And if you like this video, found it helpful, always don't forget to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, would you consider subscribing? I would really appreciate that. All right, you guys, I'll see you all next time.